hold and feel the shafts, and if these actually are in very nice, well, this one's in nice shape. This one you can start seeing is getting a little worn. The solid shaft ones are not as desirable as a universal joint, because this one, if you don't align everything, if it's off a little bit, it's always wearing and working itself, where the universal joint's off a little bit, the universal will take up that slop and it'll last a lot longer.
What's this, some kind of homemade repair on there?
Yeah, that looks like a...
MacGyver job.
Yeah.
This spline is a 3/4 21, which was never popular, but it was made in the 60s and 70s, and it's not a standard spline, and you can't really find them anymore. Steve Crooks has got some Amish people that are broaching these and then hardening them and going that route to be able to find splines for it. And these shafts are hardened, and these are actually hardened too, so to drill these, to put you can drill and put a pin in. Actually, the deluxe blowers, some of the later deluxe blowers actually had a pin in them, and actually the newer, the latest model of these had a hole drilled. Very robust. If you need to take one off, you just take the anyways, it's on a spline safety clutch that comes off. Then there's a tapered roller bearing that comes off, and then the shaft comes right out the front. But to do that, just put a puller. You would just put the puller on here and just press it off. If you have a square chute or a it in there, but this one looks identical to that, except there's no clip in it, that's why you can push it out. The square chutes, what you have to do is take this part off, and then the shaft is off of a quick hitch blower, but the same principle. It's got a bearing in there, and it's got another C-clip here. And what you have to do is it's in something like this. You got to take a chisel in there and cut this C-clip off, and once you get that clip off, then you can push the whole fan assembly right out the front. And you still have to disassemble the fan to get at the bearing, but at least you've got it where you can work on the fan, where if you ever tried to take a nut off a fan when it's inside the blower. Your advantage as far as we're working on it, once you got the reel off, you can then do this with the reels on. You might be able to do this, but then if you've got a vented plug on, you lose your gear oil. But anyway, you can see where it's bolted this way and bolted that way to the frame. This has got two separate holes, or sets of holes for the crank. On the 26-inch wide, you want it vertical, because if you use these holes over here, your crank's off and you got a nice snow bank, and you got your crank that's just cutting into the snow. The cable, this guy looks nice, but we can, if somebody's got a bad cable, I'd rather just leave this one alone. If it's not broken, don't fix it. But anyways, to do the cable, you just basically just back this bolt out. The cable pulls out of the hole here, goes through a guide. I guess you want to come over, you can see a little, that's in backwards. Anyways, there's a little L piece here that this little bolt pushes against the cable. When you put a cable in, you loosen this up, and you put the chute vertical, and then you tighten the nut or the little bolt up here, and that registers when you got it vertical straight ahead. Then as it goes down, and when it's all the way over, it's pointed the right way. If you put this cockeyed, if this were vertical, it's a great demo. Yeah, if you have one that's like this, that's no good because by the time you get it this way, it's got to be in. Anyways, when you get all the way over, it's going to be cranked too far to the back where it should be straight out there and straight out here. On the crank assembly, there's a nut here. If the threads are good and everything, you can actually tighten this nut down to give you some friction so that it holds when you, there's a little bit of friction, so when you crank and then you let go of the crank blower, if it doesn't have any friction, sometimes they work their way over whichever side they're.
What bolt is that you tighten up?
This little nut right here.
Right on there. Yeah.
15, 16. This one is actually loose. Trying to think how well, anyways, anyways, this is kind of frozen, but if it weren't frozen, you would just tighten it down until
Well, that's frozen, so you can use that to turn it, just put your wrench on and spin it around.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of 5 feet. I want to. One of them is around 63 inches, and I think that's the one for the drum. And the measure this. This one should be a little long. If you buy this length of cable, it's probably take measure
5.5 feet.
just a little bit. I want to say it's 6. There we
Doesn't
go.
hurt to have a little longer.
I'm a land surveyor. I had my van here. I have probably
6
10
foot
different cables.
covered.
I'm pretty sure that's
63.
63. And I think the other might be about 58. Let me see if one of these is any different. It's better, it's like anything.
It's that cheap that it's like 5 foot extra.
So if you buy 6 feet, you can just cut it to the length of the one you take out.
Yeah, and yeah,
Be safe.
I think these are around probably 70 cents a foot or something, but at that price.
That's
get
too
it.
expensive.
Is it called 8-inch cable? Or?
This is 1/8-inch aircraft galvanized cable.
Nice.
And any hardware store has them. Then they have the little fittings on the cable drive where there's a loop. I usually less adventuresome, and I typically use a cable clamp on it. And then after I've got it all adjusted, I've used it a while, and if the cable's not too sloppy, then I might put a then take it off, and you can see right where the bend is. Put your spot on the chute that's a little thicker than everywhere else. If you find that spot, then just try to get them parallel so that there's equal. It's harder, I guess it's easier to say than how do you really, but basically you want to have it so that the fan is perpendicular to the fan housing and it rotates freely, but not a lot of slop in it. And it usually takes a little bit. Basically just loosen these up enough so where you can take a hammer and just tap those, and once you get it, then just lock them down. And skids, depending on the blower, some of them are pretty easy to get a wrench in. You can wrench them up. The ones with the cable drive that gets in the way here, and one of them I actually end up using like 2 or 3 extensions is the quickest way. And to get the right height, just take a board of whatever thickness you want. Get a level floor. This one doesn't swivel, so it's critical that your tractor air pressure is, everything's leveled on that. If you got chains on, if you can get the wheels between the chains on both of them so that you don't have a cockeyed snow blower. But on this one, first you just put the blower, I guess if it's a new blower to you, I would just raise the skids up so your plate is right on the floor. Then mount it to the tractor in a flat room, and then tighten these guys down, and then your blower to the floor is level. Then put whatever thickness of wood, probably 3/4 inch, seems to work. It depends on your gravel. If you got like real loose gravel, you want to go higher, and if it's real firm, not so much. But then put your board on and loosen these up and just tap them down till they're both there, and lock them down and you're good. And if you have a driveway, a gravel driveway, the first time you want to raise it up, but once you've got a nice base, drop those skids down so they're maybe 1/4 inch off the. Otherwise, every time you plow, you're going to add another 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch, and up in central New York, after several weeks that you've got about this much of a base, and then you get that warm day and your car sinks and you can't get out of your driveway. So you want to drop those back down.
If you got a snow blower, you wanna use screenings for driveway.
Yeah. So, reflector in it. I've been going to.
What's yours? A mud flat? Or a
Floor mat.
Floor mat.
I believe that's a factory one, but some of them are like as heavy as cardboard. This I think is factory. But I've gone to a thinner, much more flexible material because as you bend this, sometimes this one's actually pretty good. A lot of them, they start folding over on you and stuff, and the real flexible stuff, even if it folds over, as soon as the snow comes, it actually packs it in there and makes a nice smooth opening. Rarely do I ever use a deflector. Our closest neighbor is 700 feet away, so I'm not worried about rocks into neighbors. So if you leave the chute wide open, it's got a straight shot, and as soon as you start using the deflector, you're going to start getting clogging under certain conditions.
Piece of tractor tires works pretty good too.
Yeah, it'd probably be a good one. I'm not sure for weather
Just
or
up
for
straight
abrasion,
instead of
so
bent down.
it should be good.
Well, they take